So they aren't exactly sure what this cult is or where they came from at the moment.
The players or the cultists?
The players.
Okay.
The cultists know where they came from.
Well, hey, we've had amnesiacs, so we don't know.
Spoiler, every enemy you fight is an amnesiac in this entire
How did
campaign.
I get here? Hello, and welcome to the Tabletop Travel Guide, the podcast where we explore fictional worlds right from the comfort of our own table. I'm Sam.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Tyler.
And it's season 2!
Oh my
Season
gosh.
2.
So, in season 1, we traveled all over Avestan. We went to some amount of countries. It was at least in the double digits. Anyone have a number for that? How many did we go to?
Tyler would have this number, not me.
I think we had like
Like 40?
18.
I'll say 40 is
No.
way too many.
40 episodes,
Oh, 40,
maybe?
Oh,
40,
40
episodes.
Sorry.
Yeah. oh, no, this is episode 50.
Oh, okay.
Yo.
We
So
are
we
at
had-
episode 50
Yo.
right now.
So we've had 49 episodes, potentially 18 countries.
I think more than that. I don't know.
I don't know. We're bad at the world. It's fine. We've had some offshoots into some lores. We've had a couple spoiler guides. We've had fun. So we're going to continue the adventure.
Whoop, whoop.
So highlights of season 2, we will be traveling to some new places outside of Avestan. We're going to head a little bit to the ocean. We're going to head a little bit south. But today, we're going to not quite start our travels quite yet. We have a spoiler situation ahead. But before we get into all of the fun things, what's everybody been doing? We've been gone for a month. Has anyone done anything fun, exciting? Have we all just been crying and lamenting how much we miss our podcast?
It's hot.
Oh my gosh. It's so
We have all been crying. It's not been because of the podcast.
It's hot.
no, it's been good. I think I wanted to get a little bit more editing done this month, but it's fine. We're ahead enough to not be on the last minute anymore. But yeah, I played a lot of Persona and going strong in Fist of the Ruby Phoenix, which is pumped.
There you
We're
go.
like
There you go.
on the kind of tail end of that campaign, so I'm really excited about that. That's what I've been up to.
I have a 13-month-old daughter, so she keeps me very busy.
Accurate.
But beyond that, I don't know. I mean, Valheim Ashlands dropped. Been playing a little bit of Ashlands. It's been fun. We have a teleporter named D-Day because we die a bunch on the shores.
Oh, jeez.
So, learning by doing, I suppose. It's a lot of fun, though.
Nice.
There you go. I started running 7 Dooms for Sandpoint, which is a newer adventure path
Yep.
that I was super excited about. So that has been fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we're all just living our lives, trying not to die in the summer heat that we are having.
But we're glad to be back.
Yes.
Excited.
It gives us a great reason to be in our basement where it's cooler.
Mm-hmm.
Accurate.
Bunkering down.
All right. So today we have some special fun times brought to us by Tyler. Tyler,
Yes.
would you like to explain to us what we are doing today and why we're all hanging out in the basement?
So, what we are doing today is we are recording a podcast.
Well,
No.
let me crack it from that one.
I'm shocked.
Nice. So, today we are going to be diving into the first second edition adventure path, Age of Ashes. I've been wanting to do this one a little bit for a while. I ran half of this campaign for my Thursday group, and I will explain why I did not finish this
And
campaign.
then you did not finish.
And I did not finish, but it's going to be relevant to season 2. There are obviously heavy spoilers for the adventure, but we decided to do this now because it fits into where we're going.
Yeah.
So this one's going to be broken into 2. Writing the notes for this, I'm like, I don't want to be the pod, like, even if it's one-off, I don't want to do a 1.5 to 2 hour podcast. I still like our little hour segments.
Yep.
So this one is going to be covering books 1 through 3, which I will probably have a lot more detail on because I went through those. And then we're going to do 4 through 6 next time.
Okay.
So from the get-go, if you are interested in running this campaign, I would not recommend it. I'm gonna start that right off. And
Tyler, you're like the biggest Paizo shill.
I am. And having run two other adventure paths, this one shows its age. When Age of Ashes came out, the second edition kind of rules were still getting finalized, and this campaign was kind of meant to be a explore the world type campaign adventure. Like you see all different parts of Galarian, which is cool, but it's like kind of hard to follow. There's some parts of it where I'm like, what's happening? What are we even doing here? I don't know. Like there's a lot of there's a lot of good foundation, but it just wasn't really fleshed out. And I feel like they've since gotten better in adventure paths. So I will lay that out now. Maybe skip this one. Listen to the episode.
Yeah, there you go. Listen to Tyler
but
talk
skip
about
the adventure
it
path.
and then
Yes.
decide.
Yes. So with that, we're going to talk a little bit about the history of where we are in Galarian. So we're back in Avestan. We are in the country of Isker, our favorite.
Oh, we're
Little
starting in Isker?
Yeah,
Okay.
our little orphan area of Isker in a tiny town named Breach Hill.
Okay.
This is a town nestled in the foothills of the Five Kings Mountains in eastern Isker, and it's about 50 miles from the Druman border. It's a relatively young town compared to some others, and we'll go a little bit about the history before we dive into where the players come in.
Is there ash there?
No,
Okay.
not at the moment.
Okay.
Spoilers.
I'm going to ask this every time we
Is there
change
a-
locations.
Is there ash there? So, 4520 AR.
Okay.
In the fall, 50 humans find themselves in a threadbare outpost in a valley at the foot of the Five Kings Mountains.
They just find themselves there like, oh, hey,
Yeah.
we
They
showed up.
have little shelter, provisions for just a few weeks, few skills among them, and almost no defenses.
Okay.
That doesn't
The
sound
most
good.
curious part, however, is they have no idea how they ended up there in the first place.
Ah.
They are all amnesiacs.
Classic. Classic RPG.
Yeah, so they're in this area, tiny outpost, limited supplies, and winter is coming.
Oh, no.
And they are like, oh no, we are going to die here. We don't know what to do. Luckily, a wandering adventurer, scholar, and wizard, Lord Lamond Breachton,
Okay.
was returning from Druma when he stumbled upon the outpost. And while he wasn't able to solve the mystery of where they came from or why their memories are gone or help them restore their memories, he was able to spend time to help them build proper shelters, acquire food, establish farms, kind of like get these little pitiful amnesiacs on their feet.
Your brain broke, but I
Yeah.
can build you a house.
Yeah. So he kind of spent a year with them, helping them until they were able to get on their feet, and then kind of moved on after that.
Why didn't you just take him back to Druma?
Or anywhere else.
I don't know. It's hard to house 50 random amnesiacs. I don't.
Man, this place is awful. It's horrible. Let me help you build a house. All right, peace. I'm out of here.
I'm
Have
out.
fun.
So, I mean, within that year, though, the outpost was thriving, and the leaders named the hamlet Breachton's Hill,
Oh, okay.
later shortened to Breach Hill.
Mm.
Sure. Okay.
Breach Hill grew, became a good stopover point for adventurers traveling from Druma to Isker and through the Five Kings Mountains. It's kind of like nestled in a good through route.
I bet he did it. I don't know what it is yet, but I bet
He's
he did
like,
it.
I need this town to exist. I've made all these amnesiacs. Now I'm going to tell them how to build things.
I bet he did
Spoiler
it.
alert, we're in The Sims. A bunch of amnesiacs. Put them in the pool, take out the ladder.
Abba-dabba-dabba.
So throughout this time, Breach Hill's council, because there were so many adventurers coming in and out, they had a tradition of employing adventurers for duties that concerned citizens outside of town guard stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
So they have a monthly call of heroes you can go to and then pick up odd jobs if you're a wandering adventurer.
Dude, I wish we had that in real life. You could just like go to the parking lot and be like, I need a hero
Do you
to
really
clean my gutters.
I think that's
It's called the
Craigslist.
internet.
That doesn't sound like as much fun.
Yeah, you're more likely to get murdered, or the same amount of likely to get murdered.
Mm.
So this brings us to book 1, Hell Knight Hill.
Okay.
So, Call of Heroes. All of the players show up to Breach Hill in some form or another and answer the Call of Heroes. So, during this episode, I will be putting some color commentary about what happened in my campaign as well.
Cool.
I was there. Don't insult me.
I wasn't there.
No.
Insult Sam.
Aw.
No. So in this one, I think I had a couple that lived there. I actually had one guy who I ported over a campaign from. We did Fall of Plaguestone with people that I didn't like playing with except for him. So I grabbed his character and him, moved him to a new group, and then he just moved his character over.
Nice.
So the Call of Heroes, however the PCs do get to Breach Hill, they show up to the Call of Heroes. So during the meeting, there's a request from a goblin, Warble Bumblebrasher.
I really loved the goblins in this.
To check in on her family who haven't been in contact for a while. They currently live up in a abandoned Hell Knight Citadel called Citadel Altarian.
Already sounds like a problem.
Yeah. So, Warble is there to get an adventure group to go there. So before the meeting can continue, however, a fire mephit, now Elemental Scamp, starts a fire.
Good.
So then...
The ashes.
The ashes.
The ashes.
Title drop.
This is the age of ashes. It starts immediately.
With the tiny elemental scamp.
Ashes of the building. Yes. So you have to basically evacuate the townsfolk, put out the fires, all that fun stuff.
Cool.
So once they do that, they find that witnesses report that the arsonist flees towards Citadel Altarian.
Wow. Multiple hooks.
Yep.
It's like they want you to go there.
Right?
Love it.
Yes. Which works out, obviously. So Castle or Citadel Altarian, if I'm pronouncing that wrong, there's a lot of A's and E's in this thing. So that's what I always called it.
Do you want to call it all-terrain?
All-terrain.
Altaria, the
All-terrain.
Pokemon.
So the PCs head to the castle, the Citadel. This was a citadel that had once been used by the Order of the Nail Hell Knights. They found this area was a good kind of hub spot to dish out their law and order. They ended up moving to Verisia, a better place, and we're like, we don't need this place anymore. So it's since been abandoned.
Deconstruction costs. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. So the next part of the book is a little bit of a dungeon crawl. PCs are exploring. They're trying to clear out the Citadel, trying to find both the arsonist as well as the Bumblebrashers. I have a little thing under here as Tyler note. These are little fun facts of this campaign. There's an option to take care of some warg puppies.
Oh, did we do that?
Yeah. Andy, who has kept his character from Fall of Plaguestone to Age of Ashes to Fist of the Ruby Phoenix.
Does he have the warg?
He still has the warg.
That's awesome.
And they're like level 19 now. So he had one companion from Fall of Plaguestone that he kept with him, and then this one he's had for like 13 levels.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So anyway, eventually they clear out all the rest of the rooms, they head up to the battlements, and they find a halfling named Calmont holding all the goblins hostage. He works for a person named Vaz Lorraine, who is the proprietor of the Reliant Book Company in Breach Hill.
Those librarians.
Right.
Okay. Yep. So back to Breach Hill.
Yes. So after kind of interrogating Calmont, it turns out that she has been researching something called Alcetta's Ring in the Citadel, which Calmont wanted to sell information about, which is why he set the fire, went there, tried to do his whole thing.
Okay. Yeah.
Wait, what? Gosh, I was in this campaign. Why did he set the fire?
He set the fire to cause a distraction, to I don't know, he wanted people, he knew Warble was gonna ask people to go see the Citadel, so he caused the fire to disrupt
Stop that conversation.
But then he ran to the Citadel, so I don't know, man.
Sounds like he should have just arrived earlier and killed the goblin.
Yeah, there's some parts to this campaign where I'm like, why? Why was this done this way? I don't know. Either I don't know or I have forgotten, but there may have been a reason.
Sure.
Anyway, the players save the Bumblebrashers and then are tasked to then take care of the enemies in the basement of the Citadel, because that's where the Bumblebrashers actually live. Turns out some cultists showed up from even lower and kind of pushed them up.
Ah, the old
we
dwarven
know
orc. Yeah.
all about that.
Yeah. They pulled in at work, pushed them straight out. They showed up from lower basement, pushed them out of their basement.
Sure.
And yeah, they can't make it down there anymore. So they ask you to take care of that.
Yeah.
They also have a pet bear down there called Big Bumble,
Oh my
and they
gosh.
aren't sure how that bear is doing. So please go take care of it. It is also very dangerous because it ate a couple gobos before they locked it in a room and then just threw meat in there.
This is
Okay.
all I remember from book 1, from playing it.
Big
was
Bumble.
Big Bumble and the Bumble Brashers.
So again, a lot of this is kind of dungeon crawly. There's like creatures that have come in there over the years. So there's not a lot of like, here's what's happening
Sure.
with these stories. Like somebody ran into a gelatinous cube. Hilariously, the players in my campaign let Big Bumble loose on a bunch of cultists, which was pretty funny. But then he died, and then they named a bar after him.
Yep.
Big Bumble's bar.
Like you
How
do.
did we end up with a dead Big Bumble? I'm trying to remember. I know we set
It-
him loose because it was like,
there was-
oh, hello.
There
go
was a
eat the
mechanic that like the
cultist.
players could clear out these 4 rooms, or if they let Big Bumble go, he would clear out those 4 rooms, but then also die. So they let the
We were all very sad.
You used Big Bumble like a tool in your machinations.
yes.
We were
You're
tragically
heartless.
heartbroken by the loss of Big Bumble.
Big Bumble. Yes. So they get to the basement. They're exploring it. They find some random enemies. They also find the main enemies they find are some stranded cultists from a cult called the Cinder Claws.
Cinder? That sounds like ash.
It's like it ties in.
Where's the
Ah.
ash? So they aren't exactly sure what this cult is or where they came from at the
The
moment.
players or the cultists?
The players.
Okay.
The cultists know where they came from.
Well, hey, we've had amnesiacs, so we
That's
don't know.
Spoiler, every enemy you fight is an amnesiac in this entire
How did I
campaign.
get here?
Where am I? Who are you? So as they finish clearing out the rest of the basement, they find basically an escape tunnel that leads back to Breach Hill, and it pops up in one of the local bars.
Suspicious.
And when asked about it, they were like, yeah, some weird elf woman has been using this, who is Vaz.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
The librarian.
The librarian, the bookseller. So
Okay.
the next step is obviously to go confront Vaz at her Reliant Book Company.
Yep.
But she's not there at the time.
So rude.
You ransack the place.
Naturally.
Yeah, as you would. You search. And you find that she's been basically trying to access Alcetta's ring, which you were still not sure what that is, via a set of tunnels used during the Goblin Blood Wars
Yep.
called Guardian's Way. Those are kind of nearby town, and the players go there to try to figure out what's happening.
Okay.
So they set off to the tunnel. They find Vaz. They deal with her. They find out that she's been corresponding with a group called the Scarlet Triad.
That doesn't sound good.
Yes.
Never name your organization a triad.
Right?
It's
It just indicates evil.
If
I
it-
can't think of any positive triads.
Yeah, if you wanted to be a good company, call it the Scarlet Trio.
yeah.
Yeah.
I totally agree. Completely agree.
Scarlet Musketeers.
Scarlet Triad Healthcare.
Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Scarlet
works.
Trio Healthcare.
A little better.
Yeah, a little
Little
better.
better.
So they've been corresponding back and forth. And they were going to sponsor her to create a necromancy lab and an assassins guild
Well.
in the
flag.
basement of the Citadel, provided she confirmed the existence of this ring.
Cool.
Yeah. So they continue through Guardian's Way. They fight through some more enemies. They basically dig down. They go from a section of caves to what turns out to be like basically the basement of the Citadel. Just basement.
Basement's all the way down.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they find a ring of Ayudara.
Okay.
So quick quiz. Remember what Ayudara are?
The teleporters thing, right? Yeah.
Elf gates.
Yeah.
So
I remembered that.
We have an episode on this.
yes, the Keonan episode. Go back to episode, whatever that one was.
Super early.
It's a ring though, so
it's a ring of Ayudara. So there's several.
it's not a ring you wear. It's
No.
a location with multiple.
It's a location
Ayudara.
with several Ayudara.
Okay.
And then they also find more of the Cinder Claws, who seem to have come through an elf gate, broke it, and are now stuck on this side.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah. You basically take care of the cultist leader who came through. They find the leader has a key to the gate, known as the Hunter Gate, and you find the deed to the castle.
For reasons.
And that's how it works.
Yes. So at the end of the book 1, you take ownership of the Citadel, and you actually meet a Hell Knight on the way, and he's like, that deed says you're owners, so you're good. You guys are going to take good care of it. So
This is where our party decided to build a bar in the castle.
yes.
That's actually very on brand for a Hell Knight, though. It'd be like, well, the law says you found the deed if you own the deed.
Yep. So book 1 ends that, they now have they have a key to a teleporter gate. They're not exactly sure where it goes, but they know some cultists came through and they're not really sure what's going to happen beyond that.
This sounds like a decent, introductory, set the stage.
Yeah. So I go back and forth on this one.
It's a bit contrived, but every first book is a little contrived.
Yeah. So, it's a good intro. Like I said, it's introducing a lot of mechanics, and one of the mechanics is base building. But, it wasn't terribly fleshed out. So you could be like, oh, I build this thing that gives me a +1 to this check. And you're like, I guess that's kind of cool. I don't know.
Spoiler, book 2, you leave.
Yeah.
So it's like, let's build a base. And then we don't see it for
Yeah. So
a huge amount of time.
And then the other kind of part, and you'll see a little bit more, there's kind of a through line of a plot, but there's kind of a big, even in book 2, it mentions the PCs might need to be a little bit self-motivated to continue the adventure. Because you check the Citadel, you cleared it out, you have the key, you own it, you're good. You could be done.
Yeah.
There's several points in this adventure where I'm like, you're going to keep going because it's a campaign rather than
But is your character really motivated to do this?
I showed up to a Call of Heroes to do an odd job, and now I'm teleporting through elf gates and stuff.
What's the level span for book 1?
What, 1 to 4?
Book 1 is 1 to 4. It goes, there's 6 books, so it's 1 to 4, 5 to 8. It spans.
Yeah, I couldn't remember.
1
what
to 3.
your level ups were there.
Yeah, so basically you're covering about 2 to 3 levels per book.
Yeah.
So anyway, we come to book 2, The Cult of Cinders.
Ashes.
Fun fact.
Dun dun dun.
When our players for this campaign started our Thursday doing it every week, I set up a Google invite and invited everybody to Cult of Cinders Thursdays at 7, and that's still on everybody's calendar. I never changed it.
No, it just says Age of Ashes. It doesn't say Cult of Cinders.
It does say it says Age of Ashes - Cult of Cinders.
Oh, well, I can never read the whole thing.
What Tyler's trying to say is you all joined a cult. Congratulations.
Yes.
We did.
Yeah. So it still shows that even though we started an hour earlier, we're way beyond this book. I never updated it, so we still do that. So yes.
We're all in a cult.
Yep. So book 2 gives you a little bit of downtime. It's this campaign is a little weird because it's it's both meant to be kind of quick, but also could span years or months.
Depending on how long you take.
But it never gives you a good they should take this long. They're people want downtime. Moving on.
There's no immediate ticking clock right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's no immediate ticking clock because again, there's not, I don't know, the players don't really know what's happening.
Sure.
So book 2 starts out with the Citadel in good, hopefully, hands of the players. The current threat to Breach Hill is quelled, or so it seems. And it's now time to head through the magic elf gate.
Yep.
Like I said, the book even mentions the players should be pretty self-motivated and gives you a couple tips if they're just lounging around too long.
We don't really need to look at that. Meh.
Yep. But one of the downtime activities is to fix the gate. So you need, I think it's maybe a week or something that you need to actually fix the Ayudara and whatever, Arcana checks, all that fun jazz. So once you repair the gate, you can go through, find out what's on the other side. So the way
ashes.
It's ashes.
Oh my gosh. You just walk out and everything is smoldering.
Fun fact. How elf gates work, usually there's between each gate, in the middle of the gate, there's a way station. So they've used these as kind of places to rest and recoup before continuing on.
That's
so
actually
you might teleport through, have a way station for that specific gate. It might be themed, whatever. And then you move on. So, unfortunately, what would be normally a way station is a scorched, hollowed out lava tube.
Ashes!
Dun dun dun!
Yes. In this tunnel, the weak manifestation of a black dragon deity, Dahak.
Oh, no, I know who Dahak is.
Surprise!
Oh, no.
Attacks the players on their way through, and they have to escape to the other side before it kills them.
That's probably above their level.
Oh yeah. Yeah. This
The
is
goal is escape.
this is
is
a
a
hazard.
runaway.
Yeah, this
Okay.
is a hazard. This is not a stand and fight.
Okay. Yep.
This is get out or you will die.
Yep.
On the other side of the elf gate, you see ashes. No.
It's
You
everywhere.
you find that the players find themselves on the deadly ends of weapons held by the elves known as the Akuje. So, if you remember, Sam wasn't here, but 50 episodes ago,
Is this the first episode?
in the first episode, I mentioned the
Oh.
Akuje elves
Yeah.
in part of the Mwangi Expanse.
Oh man, yeah.
They're amazing. I love them so much. As we get through the Mwangi, we're going to talk about them more, but
Surprise! We're in the Milwaukee Expanse.
surprise, that's where you're at. So,
For reasons.
kind of after they did not expect you guys to come through
Sure.
because cultists went out and then you guys showed up. So after kind of explaining what happened and meeting some of the elves, they travel back to the elven city of Akravel to kind of get a lay of the land, like what's happening.
Sure.
So the PCs, there's kind of a fun night of festivities. They welcome you all in. There's like some games and
Oh, I remember
other
that.
stuff. Yeah, so like there's like some dance battles, some like
Nice.
there was like a pepper eating contest
Mm,
that Letty did and like threw up in. That was funny.
because the pepper was so hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're kind of meeting, you're befriending great elves, hanging out, and you learn the history of the Akuje. So back during the time of Earthfall, when other elves left, either to Silverian or underground or wherever, they chose to hold their ground instead of running and managed to fight back against the manifestation of Dahak that escaped through the gate.
Cool.
This is really cool. I think I might have talked about this in the first episode. It's
Briefly.
been a while.
Yeah.
But their strongest warriors, like their weapons couldn't hurt
The
Dahak.
manifestation. Sure.
So their like strongest warriors sacrificed themselves to imbue all of their weapons with the power of their souls,
Ooh.
and then the rest of them were able to like push back the manifestation from there,
That's sweet.
which I think is super cool. And they talk about that. They like talk about the oral history of their tribe and
Yeah.
what they've done. After all this, the players are requested to help deal with the Cinder Claws that are deeper in the jungle. The cult has cast some sort of spell or ritual or something that if the elves go too far into it, they get blinded. They can't wander too far or else they're just
it
sitting
only
ducks.
affects elves?
It only affects the Akuje elves.
Okay, I was going to say, so what if one of your players is an elf?
No. So they only affect the Akuje elves, and there is even a section that's like, if one of your players is an Akuje elf, just say that going through the Hunter Gate
Fixed
protects
it.
it,
Yeah.
protects them. But none of the elves want to go through because they don't want to deal with.
Yeah.
None of
So-
us chose that background.
That would be a hell of a
specifically,
choice.
Right. It would have
No.
been really like weird.
It was cool.
coincidental.
One of them was a half elf though, and like the Akuje are very welcoming of half elves,
Yeah.
unlike a lot of the world. So that was pretty cool. So yeah, they ask you to go out and figure out what is causing them to go blind and like stopping it, and
Okay.
also deal with the cultists that are trying to attack these elf gates and do whatever.
Okay. Yeah.
So the next part of the book is a hex crawl, which if you don't know what a hex crawl is, we've talked about them before, is basically like you look at a big old map, a hex might be a day's worth of travel, you explore one hex a day, go from there.
Yeah.
I think it would have been really cool, but there were not many things in the hexes.
This was not my favorite hex crawl.
No.
Like we have done other things that have had hex crawls. This one felt tedious. when we
Yeah.
played.
Hex crawl is an art.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And to Paizo's credit, in like Fist Through Phoenix had a hex crawl, fantastic.
Yeah, that one was delightful.
The problem with this one is they had the main points and then nothing in between. So like they had like 3 random events that are like, these could happen. And then you run out of them and you're like, there's 35 hexes left. Like
Yeah.
And you're
Is-
just like, okay, we go here. Okay, I guess we go here.
after like
Yeah.
some amount of sessions, I literally did a like montage of just like, you go to this point and then that point and then that point, we're done. Like I'm done with it. This is
We're
boring.
moving out. Yeah.
Again, they've gotten much better. But another reason to maybe skip this adventure.
or
Or skip
come
the
up
hex-
with some other things to put in the hexes.
Or skip
like,
the hex crawl.
Yeah.
Just
Mhm.
go to the place.
Yeah.
Yeah. So without going into super detail of every event that comes up, the high level is kind of twofold. So the players are tasked with destroying several dragon pillars
Okay.
that have been erected around the jungle. These pillars are both empowering the ritual that's keeping the Akuje from going near the jungle, and is also powering a magical barrier at the main base of the Cinder Claws.
Okay. Yeah.
I do remember being very excited about destroying those pillars because
Yeah.
I had a witch. And so, because I remember there were obstacles if you got too close to it that then you had to like fight things.
Mm-hmm.
But if you could like hit it from far back.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there were like each dragon pillar had like a different thing to it,
Yeah.
which was pretty cool. The
Okay.
pillars themselves were like,
Yeah, that part was
Fun
fun combat, and then also fun to just see if I could circumvent
Of course.
yeah.
combat with magic.
So during this time, you meet some friends, you meet some foes. The most memorable one was Talden, quote, archaeologist,
Oh my gosh.
Gerhard Pendergrast,
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
who was like stereotypical kind of like 1920s like colonist
Yes.
adventurer with his like little hat, monocle, and a stupid mustache. Like he looked like there's a picture of him in the adventure, and he looks like a huge douche. So,
Which is why he was hilarious.
yeah, big douche energy. So hilariously, you find him because he's trying to just steal artifacts to bring back to Taldor to like be an archaeologist, and he's trying to steal one of the dragon pillars that already like petrified 4 of his crew. He's like, come on, come help me with this.
Golly gee, would you like to help me liberate an artifact?
Yeah, basically.
That's awesome.
He's like, these are he's like, these are the things I've found. I'm taking them. And the players are like, no, we needed to destroy them because they're part of a ritual. He's like, that's none of my business. Like,
There's money to be made.
He's the
100%.
worst.
Fun fact, I did use this guy to introduce a new player. So Greg, who has been in the campaign since pretty early on, since this part, but he had just joined, and I'm like, how do I introduce him to the party? So he was one of the like mercenaries working for Gerhard, and it's like, this guy's a tool. I'm gonna go work with the party
That's a
instead.
good intro. Yeah.
So that was fun. One of the other things I wanted to point out is a Cinderclaw mine that the players show up in, that there's a dragon pillar. Turns out that Cinderclaws are basically strip mining tons of gold out of the jungle, and they are sending to the Scarlet Triad in exchange for like magic rituals.
Stinking cultists.
So I guess contextual question: how big is this cult?
So the Cinderclaw cult is relatively small, located in the Mwangi. It's
Okay.
like this area.
Okay.
The Scarlet Triad is unknown bigger.
Okay.
It's like the benefactor. Of,
Yeah. I originally was thinking like cult, like 20 people, but like
yeah, I mean it's large but not like huge.
Okay.
One of the stops is a mine, and the players need to infiltrate and hamper the mining efforts, as well as like destroy a dragon pillar. This was the first place that we had a TPK. And
What's a TPK stand
total
for?
party kill,
yeah, so this was the one
which I've actually Tyler, I've never done. I've never had a total party
I
kill.
retconned this one.
I can't even remember this.
So this was the one. Basically, there were like several spots of the mine, but it was all kind of open.
Oh.
And so instead
I
of
do
like
remember that.
they like saw one part, moved, saw another part, and then just kind of like ran in, alerted the entire mine, and everybody split up. So
It was real bad. I do remember this now. I think I blocked it from my brain.
yeah, so like people are going down into the pit, which has a couple enemies. They're like, there's a bunch of like Gripplies running up from one side that
all
they're
the
trying to
encounters
fight.
simultaneously.
All the encounters are happening at the same time, and no one is together. And eventually, like, we get 5 rounds into it. I'm like, okay, we're done. We're restarting this. It was early as my GM, and it was early as the player. Like, this was, players like 4th session. So
Well, and it was a lot of new players that
There's
had
a lot
never
of new
done
players.
this at all.
So that was kind of like okay, I'm like retconning it. There's a bunch of new players. Let's just redo it. We'll start here next time. We're redoing this. You guys can do better.
Yeah.
I do regret. I wish I would have taken everybody captive and had a jailbreak session after that, because that would have been a lot of fun. I was not mature enough as a GM.
That's okay.
But anyway, I digress. It was fun. They ended up like mopping the floor with them the next time.
Well, yeah, because I do recall now that I'm thinking about it. Like when we came back in and it was like, okay, now we actually have to think about tactics.
Yeah. They like
and how everybody works together before
Oh,
we
yeah. Like
run
because
in.
because the first time they're like, this is impossible. The second time they're like, oh, that was easy. Whoops.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
But I do think that was like the first time in this campaign where you did really have to think tactically.
Yeah.
whereas all the other combats you could kind of just roll
Run
in
in.
hot.
Yeah.
So for
Mhm.
our particular group at that time, that was a good learning moment.
Yes. After you clear out all the dragon pillars, you can go to the main base of the Cinderclaws, which I don't know if I explained this. I must have read it, but I forgot. Turns out it is built around the literal fossilized carcass of Dahak's manifestation
That's pretty
that
cool.
happened like thousands of years ago.
That's pretty cool, though.
Well, if
Um,
you're going to have a cult.
That's a good place to put a cult.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't remember. I remember it being like a look of a dragon with dragon ribs and like a skull and stuff.
Yeah.
But like it did not click, or I just missed over the fact that it was like literally Dahak's manifestation, his original
Yeah,
one.
it's sweet.
So anyway, you fight your way through the base to confront the cult leader, Belmazog, Belmazog, who she believes she was chosen by Dahak to summon his power back into the world.
Mm.
So that is the
Ah.
Cinderclaw's goal, is to re-summon Dahak.
Like you do.
The more we say Cinder Claws, I just think of like the Cinder Claws 4, Return of Dahak.
Starring Tim Allen.
Yeah. as what's the wizard's name?
Oh, as Breachton. Lamont
Breachton.
Breachton.
Yeah, Tim Allen be a good Breachton too. Yeah.
Cinderclaws. Here's what I want for Christmas. Destruction. Yeah, and it also turns out that after fighting and like taking her out, she mostly has a transactional relationship with the Scarlet Triad. She doesn't really care what they're up to as long as they give her magic and she gives them gold.
That's fair.
So like she's not she's just like, hey, these people fund us.
They pay me.
We fund them. It's fine. There's also a point where all the gold is like tainted with arsenic just by nature of like the ground.
That's
And
a thing. Yep.
And so they're like digging up poisonous gold and killing people, and like
Not
you get
great.
affected by it. And if you bring it up to the Belmazog, like, why are you selling poisonous gold? She's like, it's poisonous. Like,
Yeah.
didn't even click.
Yeah.
Like, oh, girl.
So you also rescue as part of this a red dragon named Kyrian.
Oh, Red Dragon.
Yes, this dragon has been kind of used as a living sacrifice-ish to like empower the magic to bring Dahak back.
Okay.
Oh yeah, because isn't this dragon like all like tied up in a room?
Yeah, it's
and
like tied
stuff?
up. There's like molten gold in a chest cavity happening. Like it's alive and healing, but like there's like molten gold running through it. It's kind of dark. He also has a large shard of some powerful artifact sticking out of his chest.
Cool.
That was used as part of a ritual and might be part of a larger mystery.
Is it
Dun,
made, is it made of
dun.
ash?
Yes, a shard of ash.
The plot thickens.
Yeah, so you kind of free them, talking to Kieran about the big gaping or the big shard in the chest. It's like, yep, it's some sort of powerful magic. It was given by the Scarlet Triad, apparently, to Belmazog. And you're like, can we have it? And he's like, it would kill me. So no, if you cannot rip it out of my chest.
Fair, buddy.
Yeah. So the book 2 ends with the Cinderclaws taken care of. The magic that's been causing the blindness has been dispelled. And the Akuje thank the PCs and give them a dagger, the Eclipse dagger, that happens to be the portal key to one of the other Ayudara in Alcetta's ring.
Let's go to some other random place.
I can see where you say those. Like, as an adventurer, you're like, man, I'm way off topic.
Yeah.
I'm going to come home, cash out, call it a day.
Exactly. It's like, well, I mean, it also doesn't help that like the MacGuffin is you find the key to the exact next place you need to be.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, like I get
There's you have to accept some contrivance. Like,
You do.
It's fine.
understandable, but yeah, you're like, okay, wait, why are we going there now? Like, we've
You
already
very
got-
much
we
have
beat
to
the
like
cult.
dispel any personal like story motivations that your character has, because it's really like you have to just be along for the ride.
Yeah.
I think that's the other big thing, because like I've been able to tie so many more character plot hooks in Fist of the Ruby Phoenix
Yes.
Mhm.
because it's in one location. Like, it's really hard to tie character backstory into a place where you are in a different continent every book.
Yeah. Totally fair. Yep.
So yeah, it's definitely a campaign driven. The character backstories don't really matter,
Yes.
which is not bad for new players who aren't necessarily good at doing character backstories yet. But yeah,
It's not bad to put everyone on the train sometimes.
yeah,
Mhm.
put them on the train. Railroad those sons of guns. Okay, so that brings us to book 3. Tomorrow Must Burn.
Oh boy. Burning things, Ryan.
There's a theme. So we're back at it with the Scarlet Triad. So while the players are in the Mwangi Expanse, one of the Scarlet Triad leaders, a gnoll named Laslin, realizes something is amiss because she has not heard from her contact Vaz Lorraine for a while. So she sends one of her minions, Huberk Throp, to Breach Hill to figure out what's going on, and there they kind of learn of the players' antics before they get back.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So this is kind of happening off screen while the players are dealing with the Cinder Claws.
That's fair. Yeah.
So once they get back to the Citadel, they basically receive a note that one of the town's NPCs has been held hostage and they need to go deal with that.
Sure.
Yeah. So in this one, they for our campaign, the one they picked was the Wainwright, which none of the players met, but there was I think her name was not Morticia. There was kind of a goth lady girl that Keisha really Keisha's character liked talking to, who was the town gossip, so I had her get kidnapped.
Yeah, that's fine.
And it was fun. Yeah. They always get an NPC that the players really care about, and then they'll murder things.
Yep.
So, long story short, they presumably get there, they beat Huberk, and get him to give up information that he works for the Scarlet Triad, and his employer Laslin is interested in Alcetta's ring, and they're set up in Kintargo, which is a city in Ravenel.
So that's
Yet another different place.
Far away.
Yes. Luckily...
I mean, Ravenel's not as far, I guess.
Yeah, but
luckily, the Dream Gate, the next one, connects to Ravenel.
But the Eclipse Dagger, I remember this.
What luck.
Shocking.
Yeah. So then we go to the Dream Gate. Going through, and here's a point where I was reading this again for this episode, and I'm like, this is part of the reason I got so frustrated with this stupid adventure, is they give so much exposition on things that do not need exposition. So they go through the Dream Gate. There are a couple hags that are there. A hag coven.
That's your pit stop.
Yeah. In the way station, there's a couple hags who have lived here for a while. There was a lot of story about the hags and why they showed up and how a couple of their coven died and how they re-kidnapped a couple other people and made a new coven. And the players murder them and then move on. It's a 2-page thing, which I had to read.
There's a world where your players
There is a world, but they have done better in newer books where it's a tiny nugget of here's what's happening. This is a long history, and I'm you don't need to do this for every character.
Yeah.
And that happens a lot where you're this is a throwaway character that is going to get a whole backstory and it's not going to matter.
Yeah.
It's when Chad used to make his characters and
calling Chad out again.
Sorry, Chad. Your world building is fantastic, but he would make huge, long sob backstories for characters we stabbed immediately. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't.
That's fair. Yeah.
Anyway, I digress. So they beat up the hags, chilling in the Dream Gate. They come out on the other side near a little village in Ravenel named Cypress Point, which is currently being attacked by slavers.
Dun, dun, dun.
That's bad.
That is bad.
We don't like slavers.
We're not into that.
No. So as they fight / deception their way through town, they end up freeing some captives on a slaver ship called the Genie's Smile, and they also make it their way to the center of town to a smokehouse, which is currently being used as a prison.
Ashes, Ryan. Ashes.
Ryan, he's mouthing ash at
Something
every
is
point.
smoking.
And then they basically take care of all of the slavers. The leader of the town mentions that she heard one of them talking about a place called Sunset Imports in Kintargo, which points the PCs there.
Okay.
So, yeah. So the players then go to Kintargo, and there's kind of a lot of things happening in Kintargo at the moment. So rumors are flying around with a possible treaty with Nidal. Remember, they're kind of landlocked by Cheliax, so that sucks. So they're trying to figure out other ways of trade. So they're trying to do work with Nidal, which has risks of its own.
Yep.
There's also sightings of the ghost Barzillai Thrune, which, do you remember him?
House Thrune.
Barzillai. Wasn't he the huge dick?
Was he the one
had the 12 rules or something?
He
Or
was.
was he the one that drowned?
No, I'm
Oh, he might have been the drone guy.
There's too many Thrunes.
No, he was the one who he was ruler of Ravenel before it became Ravenel.
Yes, and he made a bunch of rules and yes.
Yeah. So his ghost has been showing up. turns out that while the treaty discussion is real and seemingly innocuous, the Triad is drumming up fear and chaos to hide their workings within
This
the
Triad's
city.
all over the place, man.
Yeah, Triad is nuts.
Doing the most.
Yep. So the players get to Sunset Imports. They get more information on the Triad's workings and find out that the Triad is trying to suss out information on an abolitionist group in the area called the Bellflower Network.
I remember them too.
Yeah, I talked about them in the Archetype
Yes.
episode.
Mm.
And that network is causing them all sorts of issues, which, good job. And you actually rescue a tiller, a Bellflower tiller,
Yep.
from Sunset Imports. And by the time you get to him, he's given all the information about the Bellflower Network to the Triad.
So you're like, crap.
Yeah. So now it's up to you to go help the network.
Okay.
So you guys go around. You find Nolly Peltry, the leader of the Bellflower Network. She hears how you helped one of her people. She gives you some, kind of lay of the land of what's going on in
Okay.
Kintargo and points you to a couple places that the Triad will probably be hitting.
Okay.
You go to a coffee house that's used as a meeting place for the network, which is being attacked. You fight them off. You end up going to a school called Lady Decour's School for Girls.
Yes, I remember this one.
That's a Bellflower safe house. It's also a secret spy school.
Oh.
Yes.
So you show up and they're like, oh, you're looking for the Triad? Yeah, we already took care of them. And so they're all tied up and
Excellent.
yeah,
That's pretty good.
just kick some ass there. And then you end up getting to an academy that was one of the main bases in Kintargo. And you get there just in time to realize Laszlo has relocated to a quarry in the Menador Mountains with a good contingent of their slaves. But there are still several people hanging out at this one. You save several prisoners and get more details on this quarry.
Cool.
So,
Pretty straightforward.
yeah, another fun fact. You meet a Tengu named Chuko,
Chuko.
who is proprietor of the War Cage, which is an armory, and
love
was
that.
everybody's favorite character.
That's
He was.
Far and
I believe
away,
it.
the favorite NPC of the campaign was
I think
Chuko.
it also helped, Tyler, you just played him in such a fun way.
Yeah,
I'm Chuko.
I'd like a Chuko Tango voice, like, Chuko. He's,
Go welcome to the War Armory.
yeah, he was fun. And he also sponsored everybody to join the Fist of the Ruby Phoenix tournament.
Nice.
If you didn't know, I stopped book 3 and moved to Fist of the Ruby Phoenix, which is why a lot of the things carry over.
Because at this point, we were all like, what is this campaign?
Yep.
And why are we still here?
Yeah, I haven't detected except for Ash, I haven't really detected a through line yet.
Yeah, the Triad.
The
currently-
Triad,
Yeah,
but,
kind of.
yeah.
But again, you're still like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
I was just picked up at the Call of Heroes. Now I'm in
Yeah.
Kintargo breaking up a slave network. How did I get here?
Yeah.
So the final chapter of book 3 takes the players to Summershade Granite Quarry, where they need to fight through that to free the slaves kept there, and they got to take care of the Triad's influence in Ravenel once and for all.
Once and for all.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. This was also a session where at one point I recorded this session just to kind of see like how we played and if there's anything I could do to be better as a GM. And no joke, there was a point where the players talked for 30 minutes to plan how to go down a hallway. Not 30 in-game minutes, 30
real
actual
game minutes.
real live minutes.
That might mean that you're a good GM though too. Like that could go either way.
I think we were scared, Tyler.
You were
We didn't want a repeat of the last time we were in a quarry-like situation.
That's fair.
So luckily since then, they have made quicker decisions and I've been more likely to punish them if they take too long.
Yeah.
But yeah, I literally had a timer and I'm like, that took forever. Anyway, another digression. So they make their way through giants. There's some undead. There's some Scarlet Triad thugs you're fighting through and what have you to finally get to Laszlo's place. It's kind of like a big spiral of a quarry. You have the quarry in the middle and then you're kind of working your way up the mountainside.
That's cool.
So like
yeah.
there's tunnels all the way up and it's like you start at the bottom and you're going kind of work your way around,
Corkscrew
corkscrew up
type
to the
situation.
top. So by the time you get to the top to confront Laszlo, she immediately lets loose a sluice, Sluice, which is basically a big water gate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sluice gate.
Sure.
Is a word.
Mhm.
And that starts to fill the quarry and possibly drown the prisoners there that are in the
Ah,
bottom
Not
of the
what
Now
quarry.
you're
you're on a
looking
clock.
for.
So yes, the players have to take care of Laszlo very quick and then also stop the water from drowning.
Love a good clock.
Yeah, so I had like a little water line and like a level, and every turn I just kept drawing the water line, and everyone's like, "Oh no!"
Build that stress. I love it.
Yes. So once they defeat Laszlo, they can either kill them or defeat her. They find out a few things by either interrogating or searching her office. They learn that the Triad may be trying to turn Alcetta's ring into some sort of weapon, but it's unclear what.
And they still don't even know what Alcetta's ring really is, right?
I think they know.
The players.
Oh, the players know that, yeah. I mean, beyond the fact that it's a bunch of elf gates,
Yeah.
they're not really sure
Why.
how
Okay.
it came here. So Laszlo has also been trying to get more information from her direct superior, Ilsara Embermead, who's currently working over in the Five Kings Mountains. She was getting impatient that her higher-ups are being so cautious with the ring as to not, quote, alert their benefactor.
Oh.
So there's a mysterious third party,
Dun, dun,
fourth
dun.
Mm-hmm.
party.
It's Ash.
It's Ash.
It's too
Pokemon.
many people.
Yeah.
Ash controls it all.
Yes. And then finally, they find a magic gemstone, the Eye of the Wise, which turns out to be
Ash?
the key to the next portal,
Oh,
the
there it
George.
is.
And with that, the Scarlet Triad in Ravenel falls apart and is saved. Yay! And we move on to the next book.
Okay.
Honestly, I think the first 3 books of Age of Ashes, a perfect adventure, because you can basically go from like first level to 11th level and you take down the triad and you're done. Like in this case, you're only taking down a part of it, but I kind of ended this one as, yep, you did.
You did the thing.
You took out the triad. That was the end of the line. You're good to go. Good job.
That's not a
you
bad
guys
cut
can
point,
move
yeah.
on. It was a good cut point, which also I kind of realized I think I just like the 3-book adventure paths better anyway, because you can tell an easier story. You don't have to like finagle a reason why level 1 characters end up saving the world.
If and when we record the Tyrant's Grasp,
Woo.
similar notes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
It's
So-
hard to do that many books.
Yeah, yeah. So it was good for what it was. Like I said, I would not recommend it. We're going to get into more of the details later. This is where I dropped off.
Yeah.
And we moved on to something else. I did read through book 4 before I was like, no. And we'll talk about that in the next episode.
Yeah.
And like the overall story is kind of cool, but just like the way to get there was convoluted.
Well, Sam, like, so you played. Like,
Yeah.
sounds like you had fun, though.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like it's not like it was not enjoyable. I think it was just confusing to follow. And then I started to struggle with like, why is my character still here?
Yeah.
Or like, why do they care about this? Because I don't totally understand. And I didn't build them with like just kind of that, I'll just follow the adventure
Mhm.
wherever it goes type of like that
Yeah.
wasn't in my brain when I built the character. So I think that like made it harder. I mean, also like that group of people is fun to play with. So like it even if the story was like kind of whatever, like it was still enjoyable to play.
Sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think that like the hex crawl was the worst part of it just because that got tedious. And then it was just a little bit confusing to figure out like what are we doing and why are we here?
Yeah, the problem, because there's a lot of stuff you as the GM know that like you kind of hint at.
But we
then
dumb.
like
Players, yeah.
But even the hints aren't great. Like it's not I keep coming back to Fist of the Ruby Phoenix, which we're going to do that adventure path and I'm going to have nothing bad to say about it. I love that adventure. I still love it. But there's like mega hints in that one, which are like, ooh, stuff's happening, but it's all incredibly relevant in here and not like, look at this little hint.
3
You'll
countries
find this
away.
out in 7 books. Like,
Yeah.
it's just, it was hard to like land the plane of what's happening.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
And I think it's hard too when it's like, okay, this is a villain that you're up against that's so far reaching that it's in like multiple countries. And then you're like, we are some Joe Schmoes from some tiny town. And like at some point you're like, reality says someone else should be dealing
Yeah.
with
yeah.
this.
Well, and there's
or like,
a,
why aren't there other people noticing? Or like it's just an odd.
yeah, and there was like a background for in the player's guide, like Truth Seeker or something. And it's like, or like a vision. It's like you have, oh no, I think you took this. It was like you have visions of Breachel burning
that
down.
was me, yeah.
And
But,
so
like,
like you need to
from
figure out
what?
why. Yeah. And then it's like, okay, you're at Breachel and you're not anymore. And it's like, well, what I was here for this town. Like
I'm
why?
worried about my town. Why am
Yeah.
I somewhere else
Yeah.
now?
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll talk more about kind of all this in the next section. The next section will not have nearly as much color commentary because I did not play this one. But I will read through it and we'll talk a little bit more next time.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Tyler, for that lovely trip into the first half of Age of Ashes. We will break here. We're not going to do a 1 out of 10 on what we think of Age of Ashes. I don't think it'd be a high number. But yeah. So we'll see you all next time for the second half of Age of Ashes, which will be new information for me as well. Woohoo! But until then, if you are not super tired of us, you can check us out on Instagram. You can visit us on the website. If you have any feedback or comments, or if you've run Age of Ashes, we'd love to hear your experience, or maybe if you tweaked or changed anything. But until then, safe travels.